Beyond the skies, you and I, we're breaking bounds on Baobab.
Hello everyone. I hope you can all hear me clearly. My name is Melvin Muna. I'm from Kenya and I'm your host today. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's made time to be here with us. Today we have an amazing session for you where we share the secrets of succeeding as a remote worker. We have an amazing guest and there's so much for you to learn. I hope you'll be here till the end and so that you can take in all the knowledge and wisdom that our guest has to share today. I'd also like to inform you that this session is available in both English and French. So if you're comfortable in French, you have the opportunity to take in this session in French. So navigate to the bottom of your screen, find the globe icon, click on it and choose French live interpretation. If you're comfortable in English, you can listen to this webinar from the main channel in English. Also, this is the fourth session of phase 3 of our remote work workshop. And during this session, we'll also be introducing and announcing the winner of our remote opportunity challenge. Remember, we had some quizzes, some assignments, some tests for you before in session 1, 2, and 3. We have compiled your performance throughout all those sessions, and we have the winner who will be crowned the winner of this phase of the remote work workshop. This winner will get the opportunity to be mentored on how to succeed as a remote worker from myself. You'll have 4 sessions of mentorship, and I will take you through how to succeed as a remote worker. And that session will be tailored specifically to your needs so that you can grow as a remote worker in the particular area where you specialize in. So stay with us till the end. We have an amazing session for you. And if you'll allow me, I will share my screen so that we can continue with today's session. Okay. I hope you can all see my screen. And today's session is all about, we're having an interview with a seasoned remote employer. So this phase of the remote work workshop was all about giving you first-hand experiences of people who have worked remotely. We've had some remote employees, people who have worked remotely. We've had from Mastercard Foundation alumni who have worked and succeeded remotely. And during this webinar, we will have an employer so that she can share with us what an employer looks for in a remote worker. It's very important that you gain first-hand knowledge from an employer so that as you are applying for opportunities and as you are working in a remote setting, you can know what you need to do to succeed. So this session we'll be hearing from an incredible individual who has worked with remote workers, and she will share with us the secrets of success that you can use to succeed when working remotely. Welcome to today's workshop. My name is Melvin Muna. I am from Kenya. I have more than 7 years of experience working remotely, and I'm passionate about this line of work, and I believe it can be a powerful tool for unlocking the potential of the continent's youth. Today's session is all about unlocking the keys to remote work success with a seasoned remote work employer. Our guest today is doing an amazing work, empowering marginalized and talented developers. She will share all about what it takes to succeed remotely and the amazing work she's doing to support marginalized and talented developers from the Middle East. Our guest today is the one and only Laura Jardine Patterson. She is the founder and CEO of Concat Tech Limited. Laura, can you please unmute and briefly tell us about your journey as the founder and CEO of Concat Tech Limited.
Yeah. Hello, nice to see you all. I'm in Lebanon, so if the internet cuts out, I will rejoin, but let me know if you can't hear me as I'm speaking. So as you very kindly said, Melvin, I'm the founder of Concat. Concat, we started about 3 years ago. I had absolutely no idea about business, about running an organization, about anything, being an entrepreneur, even working with me, to be honest, until I started Concat. So I really want you guys in this session to ask me a lot of questions, because I'm not like somebody who came from this really experienced business background, right? I literally saw something that I wanted to create a solution for, and I created Concat through that. So I've been living in the Middle East for the last 5 years. I came originally on holiday to Lebanon, and I met an amazing lady who asked me if I could help run her organization that was teaching programming and full stack web development to marginalized youth in Lebanon. I did that for 3 years, telling the world about the talent in the Middle East and really working with a lot of women and refugees specifically to try to link them to employment. And what I saw through that work was nobody in Europe knew about this talent in the Middle East, for example. No one knew about this amazing developer that I'd met in Lebanon, who was maybe Palestinian or Syrian or even from the continent, anywhere. They had no idea that this talent was here in Lebanon, waiting to basically find employment and not knowing how to find it themselves. So what I did was I basically started linking that talent to clients, mainly from Europe, because mainly from the UK, because that's where I'm from originally. So everyone in the UK would come to me and say, I need a website, I need a design, whatever it was. And I would link them to talent in Lebanon. And this is really how Concat started. It was I never had this plan to like change the world and change the business like models through Concat. But once I started, I saw the impact that it can have. And that's really what I want to speak to you guys about today, is this message that if you believe in something so strongly, like you can make a difference no matter how small it is. And I'm not employing 10,000 people, right? I'm employing 4, 5, 6. Now there's 10 of us. But those 10 people then help their families, and then they tell their community about the work that we're doing, you know what I mean? And they help their community train. Now we've got the brothers and sisters of my team training to become developers. So the chain continues on. It's not always about creating a product that then reaches 1 million people overnight, you know what I mean? And when you speak to people at the beginning of a company, everybody's like, are you raising 10 million pounds? Are you raising 5 million pounds? And I'm like, I'm not raising any. I'm happy just doing it at my speed, having the impact that I have. And yeah, I mean, obviously that's not to say there's a right or wrong. That's just my version of what I've done so far. So essentially what we do is we design and develop websites for clients around the world, and we employ women and refugees from the Middle East. So we've got about 60 clients across 12 different countries. We do everything for a company, from creating a logo to doing branding, to the website, to the SEO and advertising after the website launches.
Laura, that's an amazing story of how a small meeting can translate into an organization with such a powerful mission. So let's talk talent. Can you say that we have great talent remotely?
Definitely. I think there's so much opportunity now to help make this world more equal through remote work, right? Like for now, companies in Europe, for example, that's what we focus on a lot, are now looking for talent elsewhere outside of Europe. Finally, it's taken them this long, but now they're looking for talent outside to fill this gap, because there's not enough people in Europe, for example, as developers. So suddenly we have this whole world where everybody can work from their house with anybody around the world. And that's the biggest thing that the biggest success and the biggest impact that I've seen through Concat, You know, we have a Syrian girl living in a refugee camp in Lebanon who suddenly has met people from Switzerland, from Australia, from America, from England, all through remote work. Like, if you think about that as a concept, it is amazing. And they're practicing their English, they're meeting different cultures. And that's all possible literally from the safety of their own home. And that's what I really love about it, is this concept that essentially, obviously there's a bit of political visa working issues that we need to solve meanwhile, but essentially the concept of remote work is that anybody can find employment from their own home.
One of the things that has been raised consistently during these webinars is people think that just because they are from Africa, they may not be good enough to work for some of the top companies in Europe. But you've clearly mentioned that as long as you have the talent, the organizations that are willing to accept you and have you as an employee. Is that right?
100%. I think there's two things on this. So mainly what I'm talking about is the tech world, right? Because that's mostly what I know about. In terms of tech, there is a huge demand for developers and tech talent from everywhere in the world. The biggest thing that I see is communication. This is the biggest problem. So I don't mean like being able to speak perfect English, right? I don't mean that when I speak about communication. What I mean with communication is professionalism in the day-to-day, depending on who you're working with. For example, time management, replying to emails, even if it's something like replying to an interview on time, this is the most important thing, right? Reply. Even if you need more time, even if you don't know what to say, what to do, just reply. Ignoring people and not responding is literally the worst thing that can happen. And there's things like this that I see so often. I see CTOs of companies not replying to emails, not replying to me. And I'm like, I don't understand that. Like, this is the key thing. It doesn't matter if you have no experience or you're asking for an internship, or if you're the head of a tech company, you've got to know how to communicate. And that comes down to knowing how to have a conversation with somebody, asking questions always. If you're stuck for something to say, always ask. Ask what they've been up to, ask what they're learning. You know what I mean? Like, make the conversation flow and really try to work on that as a skill. Because what I found is nobody at the beginning of Concat wanted to help me. No one knew who I was, no one knew Concat, everything. And I just kept asking everyone I met. I was like, I would follow up on LinkedIn. I would send a message. I would say, please, can you help me with this? How's it going? Let's have a conversation. We'd have a meeting. And then I'd be like, at the end of the meeting, oh, please, can you help me with this? Right?
Yeah.
And that was all. I've learned this along the way. I speak a lot, which you can see already, but I didn't know how to speak in a business sense, right? And this you really learn from doing and from practicing. So try, I don't know if there's communities or with your friends where you can practice speaking together, do interview practices one-to-one, you know, learn this language of kind of how to relate to people wherever they are in the world. And if you don't know what to do, ask them questions. Say, what are you working on? What do you do in your free time? You know what I mean? Like, keep this conversation flowing. And that's a really important factor of this communication.
That's amazing. Actually, communication is quite important. Even when you know, like, you'll not be available tomorrow, pick that in advance, talk to your boss and manager, tell them that tomorrow I won't be available, so you'll not be able to reach me through this and this channel. And when I'm back, that's the first thing I'll do. I'll catch up with you so that we can establish our communication. I forgot to mention something. Yeah. Please.
No.
If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and I will, Gracia will keep an eye on the chat for me so that if there are any serious issues that need to be tackled immediately, we can deal with them as the interview continues. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and we will go over them. So yeah. Laura, you've mentioned about the challenges of, let me hear your perspective about the challenges you faced working with remote workers. While in as much as it gives you a large pool of talent to work with. There are still challenges. You've mentioned about communication, time management. Any other thing that you'd love to highlight in that regard, and how you dealt with some of those challenges?
Yeah, so a big one for me has been understanding the different cultures, right? So for
Yeah.
example, in Concat, we hire all different religions, okay?
Yeah.
And one thing is adapting to things. For example, when it's Ramadan, there will
Yeah.
be different, have to do different schedules to fit everybody's own schedule. We close for Christmas, for example, close for the, it has to stay equal for all the different religions. And I think that this is a really important thing. Like, a lot of people around the world don't know about this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's really important. What you were saying is before, exactly, is about communicating with your manager if you're in or out. It's honestly about transparency, and it's about saying, I felt uncomfortable about this, or I need to have some more time at this time to pray, or whatever it is. And really telling them and educating them about it, because us as employers, we don't know everything, right? Like, we're completely adapting ourselves. So it's really important to be transparent, especially with remote work, because you don't know if I message my team and nobody replies, I have no idea where they are, what they're doing,
Yeah.
what's happening, you know what I mean? Whereas if you're in the office, obviously you can keep track of people. So what I say to my team, always, even if they need half an hour during the working day offline, just send a message, say, I'm going to eat, I need half an hour. And then we know where you are. Because if everybody's chasing everybody at different times in the day, you spend like hours of your day waiting for people to respond, right? A big part of it is over communicating almost what your needs are and being transparent. Like, some days I have days when I'm like, I'm so demotivated, I'm tired, I can't work today. I try to not have them too often, but sometimes I say that to my team and I say, listen guys, I'm really sorry, but I'm super tired this week or super tired this day. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, there's no right or wrong in terms of the kind of level of transparency that you have. But for me, the main point is in terms of timing, especially, and being online, because you need to set barriers when you're working from home. Otherwise, you can work all day, all night. You know what I mean? Nobody's telling you not to stop. So you really have to be strict, and that leads into the kind of how to stay productive and all of that. But really being strict, saying with your team, I'm available from 9 until 5. And after that, I'm out. Anything urgent, message me. But apart from that, this is it.
That's amazing. Over communication. You can never over communicate in a remote work setting. You can never.
Totally.
And I want our participants to take this with the seriousness it deserves. You can never over communicate in a remote work setting. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing is we've talked about the challenges. Now it's you've worked with remote workers. What do you think are the characteristics that will help someone to succeed in a remote work setting? And like, what are the habits that you believe someone needs to succeed when working remotely?
Yes. So this is an ongoing thing I'm exploring. Obviously, it's completely different for everyone. For me, what works specifically is I have to get up first thing in the morning early, right? And get out of the house, whether that's going for a walk, going to the gym, just something. Because if I stay in my room until like 9, 10, 11, like, the day is a complete disaster. So what's important for me is I try to be set up from 9 until 5 in one place, sat, right? And wherever that is, normally I go to a co-working space or an office or a cafe, but I really try to be at my desk by 8:45 latest. Normally I start working earlier and finish a bit earlier, because I work better early morning, and I like doing that when nobody is awake and can message me. So I do all my hardcore work in the morning, normally from like 7 until 10. I do like all the boring stuff, like the accounting, the management, I don't know whatever it is. And then from 10 till 12, I do my most important meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's when I'm most focused, and that's when I can like really think about it. And then I try to have like an hour's lunch break where I also get out of the house. I think having some people work in their bed. I'm in my room now to see my bed. And that is really hard to be in your bedroom and to be in one place that's meant to be like life and work. I find that super demotivating being in the same environment. So I try always to not work in my room. And sometimes, you know, when you're feeling lazy, you work from your bed or whatever. But really, really, I try to find, like, even if it's just like a tiny bit of the table in another room, I try to just sit there and focus there because it just makes such a big difference. I'm not very good at taking like a lunch break. I kind of stop working from like 2 till 3:30 because my concentration is really bad then. And then I continue work until about 6. A lot of people prefer just to work, you know, from 9 till 5 and take an hour's lunch break, 12 till 1 or whatever it is. But for me, I try to maximize my concentration times. A lot of that, I also make sure that I'm always there during 9 till 5 for the team, because those are specifically the hours that they work. I think it's really important, like as a leader, to be there. So every morning, 9 a.m., I say on our Discord channel, good morning, how's everybody? How are you? Whatever. I don't say bye at the end of the day, because sometimes it's all different times and they're adults, they can do their own thing. But I think it is really important in the morning to just check in with everybody, and they know that I'm there. And I sometimes also tell them what I'm working on, what I'm doing. I think it's really important that everybody is kind of aware, high level, of what everyone's doing. Because if you were in the office, you would know, right? Whereas when you're working at home, you actually have no idea. Yeah.
So everyone has to touch in with what they're doing and just keeping everyone updated. Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, thank you so much for that detailed answer on how to succeed when working remotely. We have some questions in the chat. Maybe I can share them with you. So we have someone is asking about securing remote work. Maybe you can share advice on how someone can go about finding work remotely. As a newbie in that essence.
Yeah. So the first thing is use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is literally the best thing in the world. Sometimes I think I do sales for LinkedIn, but honestly, LinkedIn is incredible. Like, if you can build your own network, and people say like build your own network, and you think, how do I do that? Right. 3 easy steps is: 1, follow all the kind of relevant companies, do some research into the kind of companies that you would want to work in, right? Follow them all as a company and look up the people in the company who are relevant to what you want to do, and send them a message and connect with them. And you can do this for 10 companies a week, right? And you can already start building a network of people.
Yeah.
And this is super, super important, because as an employer, especially remote, I have your CV, I maybe have like a cover letter, but there's no way for me to really know anything more about you. So what I would normally do is look on LinkedIn. I would go straight to LinkedIn on somebody to look them up.
Yeah.
So make sure that you look professional on LinkedIn, right? Have a photo, have a description of who you are, put your experience, put your relevant interests, because that is more and more what I'm hearing employees are looking at. I see somebody said they can connect with me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I will send you my profile. But definitely LinkedIn is a big thing. Definitely project managers is a big thing too for remote work. We have lots of project managers at Concat that work remotely. It's a great role to do. This is my LinkedIn, to do remotely, because you can oversee everything from anywhere, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, the project manager is involved in every aspect of the work. So as long as you have like a Slack channel or a Discord channel like we do, that's how our project managers keep track of everything in those channels.
I hope you guys are taking notes because these are secrets of how to land jobs. I hope you'll make an effort after this to follow the companies you want to work for. And also by following the key people there, when a job appears and they post, you'll be among the first people to know. And you'll apply right away, or based on the relationship you've developed with the person that you connected on LinkedIn, they can even look at you favorably. So find the companies
100%.
you want to work for and follow the people, and just make sure that you keep an eye on their content. It's through their postings that you'll know if they're hiring or not.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if there's another pressing question here.
I can see Jael about data analysis. We
Yeah,
don't do data analysis at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think as we go more into advertising and SEO, there'll be more analysis of the data in there. But no, as a service, we don't do that.
Yeah, Joel, I hope that answers your question. Rista is asking, any advice for someone from Uganda looking for a role in software development?
Yeah. So what I would say is have a look on LinkedIn again. Look at companies that are working or hiring remotely. And if you don't see anything, message the people in the tech teams or in the recruiting teams and ask them if you can do an apprentice or an internship. Most people will really love to hear from you, unless they're huge companies where they normally will get thousands of requests a week. They hopefully will reply to you. What I would say with that is make your message short and sharp. Say, hello, I'm whatever. I'm really passionate about X, Y, and Z. I'm from Uganda and I'm looking for an internship. Is this something you're would be interested in? Let me know. And that's it. Or you send your CV. But I mean, I get hundreds of messages on LinkedIn of people with pages and pages of questions being like, what's the salary? How much do I work? And that immediately puts me off. Don't ask directly what the salary is. This is the worst thing that you can do, because people want to know that you want to work rather than just get paid.
Yeah.
The other thing with your CVs, guys, is don't try to fit it on one page or two maximum. Like, these companies are looking at so many CVs all the time. You need everything to be short and concise.
Yeah, we actually did a session on CV, and I emphasized that hiring managers and employers, they have so many applications. So if yours is too long and they have to go to page 6 to find what makes you stand out, they won't get there. What makes you unique and stand out should be your highlight and should be among the top things that you share, and it should be short. So those people who are bragging I have my CV is 10 pages, you're missing out on opportunities because no one has the time to go through all of that. They'll learn about all of
100%.
that when they interview you. That is when you get to talk about the amazing things you've done. But you first need to
also
capture the attention.
Even if you've done 100 certificates, just put the most recent and the most relevant, right? Don't list everyone that you've ever done. This is the big thing.
We will continue with the interview. We'll jump into the questions later. So we've talked about cultural sensitivity. So I'm as a CEO and leading an organization that's quite diverse. How do you ensure no one feels like they're isolated? How do you ensure that? Because it's important when working remotely that the remote employees know that I'm coming to an organization that's where my background will not make me feel, I'll not be isolated because of that.
Yeah. So this is one of my biggest things about building a remote company. Like, how do we keep this culture? Because we're celebrating diversity and inclusion, right? So we are going to have hopefully hundreds of different nationalities, different cultures within it. So a big thing that I spend a lot of my time thinking about is how do we create that culture? Big thing that we do is we don't talk, is it like a kind of company rule not to talk about politics and religion, right? Which I think is a very important thing, because although I encourage, people to have their own views and opinions, I think that the best way to keep kind of peace amongst the team is just not to go into it, especially if there's countries that are super sensitive, like there are in Africa and in the Middle East, about different opinions. So that is that's an absolute number one rule at Concat. But what is encouraged is culture, right? So I want to understand your culture. I want to understand your lifestyle. And that has to come through, like, I really make the effort to understand that within my team individually. And I also really think it's important to laugh. So as a team, we're always laughing, like something our client says or something one of us says, and I know how to make my team laugh. Like I try to speak in Arabic to them, they laugh. I try to make things light, especially if there's big problems, or especially if there's a lot of stress. Like now, for example, we've got some Palestinians in the team, so it's a super sensitive time for them. So big thing of what I'm trying to do is I check in much more frequently with them. I say every morning, how are you today on a scale of 1 to 10? And that's quite a good way, because you can measure, you measure yourself, and B, you're letting others around you know. And I think definitely, because also there's days, right, that you can do 100 things at 100 miles an hour, and there's days where you can't. And I think your team members being aware of that is also really important, and that kind of goes back down to the communication. But we are hopefully opening in Africa in 2024. We were meant to be doing it now, but there's a lot of things happening in the Middle East, which I have to focus on. So we've pushed back a little bit. And for me, for example, I don't really know very much about the culture amongst different countries on the continent. So that for me would be a huge thing that I put a lot of effort into. Hopefully I'll be coming there in January and February to meet as many people, understand about the culture. And for me, I really believe that this is best done face to face, even if we're then working remotely. I believe that it's very important, where possible, to try to meet face to face, especially the senior kind of management team, so that you know them, even if it's once. I always try to make the effort to meet everybody that I employ if I can. Obviously, there's restrictions within that, but that for me is a really big thing.
Yeah, that's good, and the part where you make things light is very important, because some remote work settings are all very serious. It's all about delivering work and meeting targets and staying updated and updating your teams. The fact that at Concat you are making things light it's good, and thank you for sharing that. Also,
but
welcome
we're
to
all
Africa.
humans, right? I always think this. We're all humans. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has bad patches of life. Like we can function as well as we can on a good day. But I also am human, right? I have days when I'm like, I can't do this. I can't work anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I really think, especially in tech, where people just expect you to like drum out some code at 100 miles an hour. And like, I want to know who that person is, who's making that code. Like, who is that? What is their life ambitions? Maybe they want to be a project manager or a senior technical person. I don't know what. But I think as an employee, as an employer, we have like an obligation to find out what everybody wants to do, right? What works for people, who they are, more than just inside of work. Yeah.
That's amazing. So we will continue with our interview, and we'll go over the remote work strategies, the strategies. So what strategies do you recommend for managing time and tasks effectively when working remotely? Task management. It's very important, because you still have assignments to deliver on. So what strategies can you share for managing projects effectively?
Yeah. So we have a CRM, which is a client relationship, I think, management platform, which
Yeah.
essentially has everything we do in it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We created a system so that it's done by task, and you can assign the tasks, and then you can see the status of the task. And that for us works really well. And we've had that since day one. But it's a really good way of the project managers being able to track who's doing what. And then for me, as the manager, I can come in and I can say, okay, this person's done that many amount of tasks. Oh, that person's only done one task. Maybe there's something going on with them, and figure it out around that. For me personally, I write lists, which is really old-fashioned on paper. But I like seeing the like crossed out, it's done thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if digital people don't think like that. But for me, I need to see what I've done. So every morning I write a list of everything I have to do, and I have personal life and work, and I put them in priority of what needs to be done that day.
Okay.
And then I cross them off when they're done. And I like feel so happy every time I look at the end of the day, and hopefully it's
Once you
all
cross
crossed.
something.
Yeah. But it's really difficult. Prioritization is really tricky. And if somebody says to you they've nailed it, they're lying for sure. It's like a thing that needs constant focus, and like learning from what works for you. But I think try to figure out when your concentration is best in the day, and start with the tasks that you don't want to do.
Oh, okay. The one you don't want to do is the one you prioritize when you're the most freshest.
Yeah. Because otherwise it gets like 4 or 5, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do the accounting. I hate doing anything financial. And then I'm like, oh, tomorrow when I've got more energy. So now I'm like, do it first thing, then it's done. Then my day goes up.
Yeah. Ah, that's a new trick. I didn't even I thought you're supposed to do the things you love doing the most when you're the most freshest, but that's a new trick, and it's good actually. It's
Try
very
it.
good because you get to tick off the things that you hate doing, then you are left with the things you love doing. It's amazing.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing.
No
Okay,
worries.
so we've talked about communication. So maybe you can share which tools do you find most useful for communication?
Say that again. What if I'm most useful in terms of communication?
Yeah, the tools that you find useful when communicating with your remote team.
Yeah. So we use Discord. We
Okay.
started on Slack, but I was driven crazy by that thing, the little message. So we moved to Discord, which is basically, I'm sure most of you know it, but if you don't, it's like a gaming version of Slack. It's also free, which is way better. And we have each client has a channel. So when a client randomly comes out saying, can I edit this? It's done on the Discord channel for that client. And what's good about that is then there's all the history of that client that we also have in a Google Doc. So people can then go back to see what's been done on that client. We then have different channels for like design, management, one-to-one developers, etc. And that works so well for us. This CRM platform that I was telling you about already also works really well. For checking in on people, I always ask my team to have the video on, which they hate.
Yeah,
But
they want
I
to.
always say, even if you've got bad connection, when you're meeting a new client, just for the first 5 minutes, have your video on. Or just when you're speaking about something, I always have my video on. Especially if I'm saying something important or a feedback session with somebody, then it's really important, I think, that they can see your face.
Yeah, it's very important actually, especially for those first time meetings.
Yeah,
okay, so
exactly.
we have a question in the chat. Someone is asking that for in-office working, the employer can track how many hours you've worked. But is there like a software for that for remote working?
Yeah, so there's lots of different ones. So for us, in our CRM, it tracks your time that you work on something automatically on a
Okay.
task. So I can see, so this is really important for billing a client. It's the worst thing ever when you're working in a company and they're tracking your hours. I realize that. But we do it just to bill the client. So we know that we've spent, and some of our clients pay by hour.
Yeah.
So we need to track that by hour. So we do it, yeah, but there are lots of different softwares. There's a really cool one being built now. I'm not going to the name, that basically tracks your productivity as well as the hours that you work. Because I feel like in software, it's really hard to track by hour, because sometimes it's going to take you hours to fix one bug. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
just
sometimes you fix
one.
directly. Yeah. But definitely, if your employers are like on top of it, they should be tracking somewhere. I mean, each minute is boring for sure.
Yeah.
But we do need to know for billing roughly how much you're spending on each client if it's client based.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about the future of remote work. So in your opinion, Laura, what does the future of remote work hold for African youth, and how can they position themselves to take advantage of the opportunities that are available in the world of remote work?
Yeah. So my dream for remote work is that everyone has equal access to employment wherever they are in the world, right? Which is a long-term goal, I realize. But my dream is that companies like Concat don't have to exist, because companies are employing diversely and inclusively and whatever automatically. For us to get there, there's a lot of work to be done. What I would say is there's a lot of talk around Africa as a tech hub and as a skill hub at the moment. A lot of people that I speak to, whether that's investors or clients, they're all saying to me, why aren't you going to Africa? That's where all the talent is, right? So the conversations are already happening, which is amazing, because 5 years ago, it wasn't like that. So suddenly you guys you're the future of that, right? You're the future of like spreading this message of the talent and encouraging more people to train your people that are younger than you, but also to get advice and stuff like that from people that are older than you as well. I think there's such a thing about sharing experience and advice from people at different, not even just different ages, like different levels of experience. And what I would say is that you guys really have to help each other with that. If you find a cool company that's employing remotely from Africa, share it with your community, right? Like all of these things are better done together. What I would say is keep upskilling yourself in your own way, whether that's through taking a course or getting better with your English or learning how to write better emails, whatever it is. There's courses now always for you guys to learn yourself. I think as an employer, it's the coolest thing if someone comes to me and they say, I want to work as a project manager. I don't have any experience, but I've done X, Y, and Z courses. I've been practicing with my friends, speaking, like managing tasks. I don't know however you would do it. That to me is like, I love this person, even if they don't have experience. And if I'm able to take somebody with no experience, those kind of things are much more attractive. I think with you guys is you have to build your own presence on things like LinkedIn or Facebook. You need people around the world to know that you're there and to know that you've got the skills and to really promote yourself, because companies might be now like thinking about hiring from Africa, let's say, or hiring from the Middle East like they are now. And every one of the interactions that they have with somebody from that place are going to help change their opinion, hopefully faster to hire from there, right? Like now we have one client, they come to us and they say, we need a website, but we never worked with anybody from the Middle East. I'm like, try it and see. And then you come back and they're like, this is amazing. We didn't know there was all this talent. Like I'm now employing people from the Middle East as designers or whatever it is. And then the message spreads. But for you guys to get there in the first place, you have to put yourself out there. And that is the most terrifying part. I completely appreciate it. but start slowly, one post a week or one connection a week, whatever you feel comfortable with. And over time, your confidence hopefully will grow.
Mm-hmm. So do a project, talk about it on LinkedIn, share something that people can see, and that is how you build yourself and also show the whole world that there is talent here. So as
Exactly.
Laura said, the future of remote work is immense, and you people need to position yourself to take advantage of these opportunities. I
Totally.
hope you are listening because that's some some
I hope it's
some good
useful.
stuff here. Very useful. In fact, when you say that, like the talk is that there's talent in Africa, that right now I can start learning about tech, and in the next 2 years I can apply for some of these opportunities. It's never too late to actually get started with some of these things. And you have resources,
100%.
free resources everywhere. You go to YouTube, you can learn about JavaScript right now from beginner to advanced, all for free. So
Totally.
the
Honestly, five
opportunity.
years ago, I didn't know
Mhm,
anybody in Lebanon. I didn't know anything about tech. I didn't
mhm,
know, and I really, 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 if I can do this, like really anybody can. I went to art school. I knew nothing.
mhm.
And really what I realized is just it's through perseverance. And for sure it's hard. It's so hard. But like using your network and creating a network is honestly the most useful
Yeah.
and amazing thing you can do. And being honest
Mhm.
and transparent in your journey. And people hopefully then will always kind of help you along the way where they can.
Yeah, definitely. So I hope you guys are taking all that wisdom. So we are coming to the end, and it's about we are coming to the end of this session, and I'd like to ask you, how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance? Because it's easy to work Monday to Sunday, to work morning to midnight when you're working remotely. So
Yeah.
how do you maintain that healthy work-life balance?
Yeah. For me, it's really an ongoing thing. I try never to work on weekends unless there's a
Hmm.
really urgent task because I need like a break. And that's the first rule. Never work on weekends if you
Hmm.
can. It's a luxury, I understand, but now I'm trying not to work on weekends. Um, I'm also really trying to my problem is that I worked all the time and I was always thinking about work. And now I'm trying to do it so that it's more of a balance. And
Hmm.
I'm constantly reminding myself and my friends and my family, being like, come on, Laura, come hang out with us, not working. So it's definitely an ongoing thing. For really setting boundaries of when you work is a big thing. And it really sounds
Hmm.
obvious, but if you start working at 10 or 11, then you are going to still have stuff to do 6 or 7 or 8 at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or if
yeah.
you know you work better at night and you're working as a freelancer, work at night, but then structure your day around that so you have time for you. Adding a structure of time, like from 8 to 9 every morning you do this, or 8 to 9 at night, whatever you do, but try to get into your own routine in that, because if you do everything randomly every day, it's chaos.
Hmm. Yeah, so you need to be intentional about taking time off, and that's how because it's easy to work throughout the day. I'm also
Definitely.
struggling with this. Sometimes I have to be intentional about not working on weekends, but sometimes you feel, when I work, I get more money. So maybe just work this Saturday. But it really eats into
Totally.
your week, because on Monday you are not rested, you are not fresh. It affects your
Yeah.
performance. Hmm.
I think if I work on Saturday, no one else is working, so no one will speak to me. And then I'm like, no, Laura, everyone's on holiday, like you should be.
Hmm.
Why
Yeah.
don't you set 3 hours where you turn everything off, don't do anything, tell your team you have 3 hours that you need off communication, and then
Hmm.
do that instead. You know what I mean? But at
Hmm.
least tell them that you're doing that or you need that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Laura. I think we've done with the interview questions, so we can jump into the chat questions. So we have a question from the audience, and the question is, as an employer, do you measure performance based on hours worked or targets or milestones achieved?
Definitely not on hours. I think
Yeah.
this is like the worst thing ever. because everybody works at different speeds, right? And I don't want to be rushing you on a task because I'm timing you. So we do it on targets and milestones for sure. In development, it's kind of easy to track stuff because you do it by page or by functionality or by client request. You know what I mean? So I would always focus on that. But it really depends. Like if you're being paid by hour, obviously they're going to be tracking your performance by hour. So there's different variations. Yeah. But I think, especially at the beginning when you're starting in a company, people do track your time really clearly. And they're really on top of that. So just be aware of that. Like also, as I said before, like we are humans, we need to eat, we need to go to the loo, we need to whatever you need to do. So they're not expecting you to be working hour by hour. And if they are, then tell them that you can't work like that. It's crazy.
But actually, I think most employers understand that you really can't ask someone to like do this amount of hours. You need to give them a job, an assignment, and tell them after maybe 48 hours, it should be completed. And if it's not, maybe we can see why that's the case. So it's never about hours, actually. It's never about hours, because as an employer, you are more interested in the quality of work, because that's what you give your clients.
And what is important within that is if you say, maybe you say one time, this task is going to take me 5 hours. You do 3 hours, then you realize there's a huge problem. And what I would then expect my team to do is come to me and say, listen, something's come out that we didn't expect. This is what's happened. I need 5 more hours, 10 more hours, whatever. But you need to come and tell me before the 5th hour. You know what I mean? Because then that affects our relationships with the clients.
Yes, because you told the client, I'll deliver this after 5 hours, then the client is waiting for you to deliver after 5 hours. But if they found something and they communicated, you can reach to the client and tell them, we may need more time so that you can deliver on this and this as we promised you.
And most of the time when you say that to people, none of our clients have ever said no. You know what I mean? But when we've reached 5 and then said, oh, wait, we need another 5 hours, then they go crazy.
You should have communicated this earlier.
We're not paying you, normally.
So we have another question. Respa is asking, is your company opening to connecting with talent from Africa, especially women?
Always, 100%. Hopefully more so next year. As I said, we were looking to do it this year, but sadly, because of the situation here, it's delayed. But definitely always looking for new talent. And let me know. Please reach out to me anytime on LinkedIn.
You have contact, Respa. I hope you send that connection request and you can keep in touch and hear what
I put my email too.
What she's if there's any opportunities for her to share. So any questions, you can put them in the chat. Okay, we have Abdulaziz is asking, I am a web developer, specifically with the MERN stack. I'm not sure what that means. I think for remote stack for remote jobs. On what level should my knowledge get to before I can land a job? How should I structure my resume, my cover letter, and other documents to get it?
So it shouldn't matter too much about the level for you to get a job, right? Like sure, there's basics, but you can also find companies that will hopefully train you at whatever level you're at. I think what's important about your level is being honest about your level and not saying that you're better or worse than you are. I think in your resume, it's really important to say that that's what you want to be. You want to be a MERN stack developer. And within that, if you don't have a lot of experience, tell them other stuff. Like, why do you like that stack? What do you like about it? Like, add projects that you've done as a freelance, or add your own projects that you've done in your free time. It's not always about how many years you've worked in a company or whatever. It's also about what you've done to upskill yourself outside of getting a job. if that makes sense. Don't be afraid to include that kind of stuff in your CV.
Yeah, there's no level you can't get hired in. There are people looking for entry level, the organization is looking for mid-level, senior level. So whatever, wherever you are, there's someone looking for those kind of skills. And also
Yeah.
be open and willing to learn, because a good employer will invest in training you so that you can meet the standards for our organization. I think that's how it operates.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so we have a question here from Selfine. Selfine Awinja, thank you for your question. As a project manager, I am more experienced in installation and hardware systems. Does this affect my chances of getting a job in tech or software?
So I think within this, I get asked this a lot. So your experience, whatever you've done beforehand, whether it's in tech or not, is still really relevant to who you are as a person now, right?
Mm.
So think what I do when I'm looking at people's job descriptions, or even I'm reading another job, I think, how can my skills or my previous experience relate to this? For example, I'm applying to be a project manager, right? What did I do in my installation of hardware systems before that made me be a good project manager? Did I oversee different parts of the system? Did I oversee different people doing different things? Did I communicated with different parties all through the installation? These kind of things. Think about how that experience relates, like gave you experience and gave you skills that may not be directly linked to what a project manager does, but that help. So things for a project manager is like really good communication, really organized, really fast learner, these kind of things. So set what you've done there. Like, did you speak to lots of people? Did you speak with different industries? Did you speak with different people in the installation phase? All that kind of stuff. That helps you to be a better project manager, right? It doesn't matter if you're a project manager in like in a chef in a restaurant, or in a, I don't know, in a software company, but it's those skills are transferable. That's what we call transferable skills.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I want to know as an employer.
Yeah, employer, yeah. I hope, Selfine, that answers your question. I also received a question on, but this is on community development. I think maybe Laura, you can answer this. What qualifies this? The person asking this question works in community development. So how can someone who has done community development work remotely?
Okay, so community development is a big thing, is a big skill that people are looking for. So a lot of jobs that I see now are to help build remote communities. Okay, so for me, a remote community has a central platform, whether that's Discord or Slack, whatever it is, WhatsApp. That is a place where people can go whenever they want to get something, whether that's advice or like maybe they have a question that they want to ask, maybe they want a mentor, maybe it's life, you know what I mean? So even if you've built communities offline, again, use those transferable skills. Think about what works in in-person communities. For example, what are people looking at in the community? Why have they joined the community? And see how you can replicate that in online. So if there's a place where they come once a week. Yeah. If it's like there's a place they come once a week, maybe you do an event once a week where everyone can drop in sessions and they can all meet and all chat. You know what I mean? Like, think about the things that relate to the community offline and how you can build them online.
Thank you so much for that. I hope this question is from Bakari Johnson. If you are here, I hope, Bakari Johnson, that answers your question. Laura, thank you so much. I've not seen any other question in chat, and to thank you for all the words of wisdom you've shared. I'm sure the participants have learned so much from your experience and for what you've had to share. Thank you so much, Laura.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move to announcing the winner of the Remote Opportunities Challenge. And this phase was quite challenging. We had a tie. We had a tie up actually. It was not very straightforward, and we'd like to celebrate and honor the top three. The top three. So the top three for the remote opportunity challenge. And Grasha, can you share the screen so that we can celebrate these amazing winners? Just a minute, and that slide will be ready. But just to give you a preview, we have the winner. We have the outreach winner. We only had one winner, one person emerging as number one. We had someone emerging number two, only one. But position three, we had a tie of three individuals. That shows you how competitive this challenge was. And I'll be announcing the third place winners. We have here our third place winners. If you are here with us, please, congratulations to you. We have Ropafadzo Sandra Shoko. We have Benjamin Ofoso Nyako and Beryl Okot. So here are our third place winners. And we want to thank you for taking time to participate in the quiz. It's amazing that you put all that effort and you are position three. We thank you so much for that. Congratulations to you. And our second place, position two, we have position one and position two are ladies. So ladies did some amazing job during this challenge, and congratulations to you. Second place is Rebecca Akakpo. Thank you so much for participating in the challenge. You emerged position two. Congratulations to you, Rebecca. And we have the winner. I will invite Laura to announce the winner, who will get one-on-one mentorship with me on how to succeed as a remote worker. Laura, who is our winner?
The winner is Oluwakemi Aziz.
Oluwakemi Aziz. Congratulations to you. Oluwakemi, are you with us? Maybe you can, if you're here with us, Oluwakemi Aziz. Oluwakemi, just let me share some details about her. She's a copywriter and a freelancer, and I've been using the Baobab platform to come across these opportunities. Oh, yeah, Oluwakemi is here with us. So Oluwakemi, congratulations to you. You can unmute, so that we can see you, so that people can actually see you and celebrate you. Congratulations. I'll also be getting in touch with you so that we can schedule our one-on-one mentorship, and we can plan for the 4 sessions, so that you can plan the content for those 4 sessions, and this will be customized. I have nothing planned for you. It's you. You'll tell me what you want to know, and we will do that. Oluwakemi is on transit. That's okay, and there's no problem with that. We will get in touch with you via email, and congratulations. So she's our winner, and thank you so much, all of you, for joining. Laura, you are amazing. You are a superstar. I'm out of words to thank you for joining us and sharing your words of wisdom. Stay blessed, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Melvin. Really enjoyed it. Nice to meet you all.
So thank you. I hope you've all had the chance to connect with Laura. You've heard she's coming to Africa. Those are opportunities there presenting themselves. And this is what you get when you join some of these sessions. So when we advertise a session, please join. There are good things for you. And I think the session is over. We can leave. We can all leave once you are done. So goodbye, everyone, and have a lovely evening or morning or afternoon, based on where you are.
Beyond the skies, you and I We're breaking bounds on Baobab.